Hey everybody, so today I'm going to show you how we make our Hawaiian shredded brisket. I've got a whole giant brisket here. I think the sucker's like a lot. It's a little over 18 pounds. So I'm going to show you how we trim it and just get it prepped to marinate and sit in the bag, and then we'll cook it tomorrow. So I'm just opening the bag. You want to make sure you have like a long slim knife that's sharp, because there's nothing worse than a dull knife. I know there's probably like a billion ways to trim brisket. I am not an expert at all. This is just how we cook at home. I do take off all of this like dark gray stuff that's been dried, so I just cut that off. And I've got bags here that I put all the fat in here. The reason I cut it off is because it is all like dried and gray. It won't absorb the meat marinade very well. So you just want to cut off all the dry stuff so that the marinade can get to the good stuff. I know we don't like to cut up all the fat because that gives good flavor, but a little bit trim isn't going to hurt.
Don't you wish you could just trim that body fat off your body without pain?
If it was sawed off like this, that would kind of suck. Actually, isn't a lot of fat on this, which is nice.
There's not a lot of fat?
I mean, comparatively, a lot of briskets I get, or I shouldn't say a lot, but some briskets I get are like full of fat.
Compared to my body?
So things like this I will cut off, which is like the silver skin type fat, because it'll just make the meat bunch up. But this is also why you want a really sharp knife, so you're just cutting the fat, the silver skin. silver skin's like this membrane type thing that makes the meat like shrink up. Like this fat is,
Like you can see it right
I
there.
call like good fat.
The membrane.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh.
There. Backseat driver. Should see us in the car when I'm trying to drive.
Hmm?
This is like this in the car when I'm trying to drive and you're telling me where to go.
It's scary.
I tell you to look outside the window and find your happy place.
Yeah, look out the window, find your happy place.
Find your happy place.
So I do that with my eyes closed.
I mean, you don't gotta be crazy and take it all off, but I tend to be a little more OCD than most people, so I know it's all under here, but with the fat on there, it won't be too bad. Okay. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to make a huge mess and get blood all over the counter. Oh, okay. So kind of just like this excess stuff that's not going to really do any good. Trim off too. There's like some gray. I don't know if you can see it, but like gray area up here. I'm gonna cut off. Like kind of that firm, harder fat is the stuff that melts and penetrates everything. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. So then what I do is, since we're cooking this to shred it, and we're not going to be like slicing it. Let me get this stuff off the sides here. I'm not worried about what I'm about to do next, which is to make like stabbing, like kind of penetrating cuts in so that the marinade can get in. I mean, you don't want to trim too much because then it'll completely fall apart. But so I'll just kind of stab and make so that the marinade has like an entryway in there. Flip the knife a little bit back and forth.
Please be careful.
Yes, be careful. That's also why it's important to have a sharp knife, because a dull knife is actually a little more dangerous. Make sure you don't stab the counter or the person next to you.
Or yourself.
Or yourself. I can tell Ray's nervous watching me do this.
Yes, this is why I took up drinking.
This is why I tell him to find a happy place. Flip this back over. Try to flip it back over. And then just kind of the same thing. I mean, the brisket's going to be laying flat when I marinate, so I'm trying to get on the sides and have it so it can run in. Is kind of my logic. You kind of want to cut more up here because this is where it's thickest, so it's going to need more help to penetrate. Try not to knock everything over in the kitchen. So I'm just looking to see where I've cut. I could have been a bit more methodical about it, I guess. Here we are. Anyway, so I'm not worried about making cuts in here because, again, we're not doing like this whole cut brisket. Or we're not going to be cutting it, we're going to be shredding it. I can't remember if I cut this part open. I'll leave it on there. Okay, so the fun part is getting it into the bag. You gonna help me with this thing?
Mm-hmm. Some gloves.
No. You're just gonna hold the bag. Like fold the top down back so I can keep some of it clean. I have the turkey bag. I already have flour in it for the bag instructions. It's just, yeah, it's for a turkey, so it can hold enough meat or enough weight. Yeah.
Okay, I know you guys didn't get that, but yeah, it's in the bag now.
Sorry.
Inside the bag had some flour, like what Sue said. But there it is.
Okay. Let me do a little cleanup here. Take one glove off. If you're using Clorox wipes, make sure you're not touching your food with it. Okay, so I have this, it's like a turkey bag, or the bags that, you know, that you cook turkeys in. I think they're just called turkey bags. Has a little bit of flour in it. That's just following the instructions for the bag. This is a pretty big brisket, so. Just trying to maneuver it in. I guess it'll mostly lay flat. Okay, basically.
You can see it.
Okay. Okay, so now for the good part. We had some, like a half bottle with like half of the Ola Aloha in there. So I'm going to use the rest of that. You're going to probably take about a bottle and a half. Oh, I think I mixed this with green and red. That's it. And then I'm going to use some Heritage in there. Let's see. Can you see the whole?
Yeah.
I just didn't want to use a bottle first. Okay. So just kind of want to work it around. Just be careful with the bag. You don't really want to lift by the bag, you want to lift the whole thing. Because the bag's pretty sturdy, but I've had them break on me too, just being kind of a little too rough with it. Okay, so I've got pretty much that side. I'm going to flip it over now.
How long do you leave it marinated in the kitchen? In the refrigerator?
In the fridge. I like to do I like to do 24 hours. You can do, you know, a little bit less if you don't have time, or even if you want to throw it in the bag.
Better longer?
Longer the better. And the reason for that is so that it has time to kind of like work itself into the whole cut. When it's this big, it's going to take a longer marinade, works better. So I'm going to let it marinate. So you can see that this huge brisket only needed like a bottle and a half. So this one's for the next thing we marinate. So this will go in the fridge for at least a day, hopefully. And then when you cook it, it'll be about an hour a pound, 225, 250 degrees. I allow about an hour a pound to get it to the right temp.
Cool. Okay, guys. Then we'll see you tomorrow after. When are you sticking it in the oven?
I don't know, probably early in the morning.
Okay, so we'll see you in the morning.
Hasta mañana. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is part 2. We've had the brisket marinating. Well, probably 24 hours now. I flipped it over halfway through. So you can see how it's like absorbed everything. And then before you cook it, you want to carefully listen to the dogs bark. And then you want to flip it back over. This pan's probably a little bit small because the brisket's so huge, but all the good stuff later, right? So I'm just cutting a little hole in it with a knife so that as it heats, like the bag will expand and you don't want it to blow up in the oven kind of thing. Oh, this parchment paper, hang on. Try that more. Okay, I've got the oven at 250 degrees. So the key with brisket is low and slow. So it's going to be about an hour per pound that you cook it. And that's it. We're going to cook it overnight. So it'll be, you know, ready in the morning. And so I've got thermometers in there, right there, which is also good so you know what temperature it actually is, because not all ovens are accurate. So see you in about 16, 17 hours. Okay, so it is the next day, about 15 hours later. Our little thermometer is 204 degrees. I don't know if you can see it from there, but I'm going to take it out. Should be pretty much ready. So just so you know, this is a higher temp than if you're just cooking brisket to cut it. Between 200 and 205 degrees to take the brisket out. Let's see. So this is the hole I made earlier to prevent all the steam and everything from coming out. And I just want to check a couple places to make sure that it's good all over. 203. We're good. So at this point, it needs to rest. The residual heat will cook it, the temperature up to, you know, it'll add another 5 degrees cooking. So I know we're good to shred because at that temperature, everything's broken down. You can shred it easily. And then we'll check later. I don't want to open it up, but you can kind of see how nice and caramelized, and look how pretty it is. I guess I can cut this open. Do you want me to cut this open? Yeah. Okay. So now we wait. I need to let it rest for about an hour before I open it up and start shredding it. One, because it needs to rest and get all the meat back into the juices. No, all the juices back into the meat. It's early. And then, so once it does that and it kind of cools a little enough to handle and shred, then we'll shred it up. Okay, so it's been resting for, I don't know, a couple of hours. Yeah, actually about 2 hours. It's still pretty hot, but cool enough for me to touch and handle. So, turn it this way. It's all crunchy. So there it is. That beautiful brisket. Whew, that's still pretty hot. So, look how easily it just shreds. My mouth is watering. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna shred this up. I've got a crock pot. Keep it going and then we'll show you once we get it all done. Okay, you guys, this is the finished product. Nice shredded Riptide Spice House brisket. Yum. We're gonna make sliders out of this with that Hawaiian bread and pineapple slaw, and we'll show you some of that too. Man, can't wait to eat this.